Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together on what we call the boot camp. Sometimes we call it the sanctuary, away from all the craziness that are outside of our control. So today we alternate every week. We alternate those of you who are new here. So this week we're coming back to a qigong exercise called Yi Jing Jing, YJJ for short. And to pair that, we're going to be doing some massage, but mainly what I call fascia massage. Fascia comes from the word myofascia, which means the connective tissues around the muscle. But the concept is a little bit deeper than that. In Chinese, we call that qi or life energy. So they believe that there is a communication systems in our body that are not known by the Western scientists that allows us to maintain our ability for self-healing and to improve our immunity and all the good stuff. So we're going to be doing some massage from the fingertips all the way to the toes. We're going to be doing some tapping from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet, basically working on all the energy channels. So let's get started. And now keep in mind that this is not just an exercise for the body, it's all exercise for the mind. So as much as we are massaging our fingers, we need to anchor our mind on the body. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the left hand. We're going to take our right thumb and we're going to massage from the tip. The tips are of the fingers, the tips of the toes, the top of the head, the ears. Those are extremities. Those are places where the yang energy would leave our body and the yin energy would come back. And that's a part of the energy in the universe. So when we say yang, we meant the sun, the energy that are influenced by the presence of the sun. And then when we say yin, that's the influence on the absence of the sun. All right, so let's start with the fingertips. Let's take a right thumb and just very gently massage the fingertips. The fingertips actually are energy points. So 10 of them, and they are very important energy points. So after we finish with the left hand, we come to the right hand. Again, it's a meditation. It's a meditation on the body, what I call mindfulness in motion. So when we move, like walking, when we exercise, we are practicing mindfulness in a moving form. Now, after we finish the fingertips, we're going to move to the joints. So take your thumb and just massage the joints very gently. Massage the front, the left, back to the front, and then to the right. And as you massage on the joint, you focus on the joint. Then when you move to the next one, you let the other one, you let the old one go, right? You focus now on the next one, and then as you finish with one finger, you move on to another finger, and we're basically practicing concentration, right? What I call mindfulness, or what I like to say, anchoring your mind on your body when you move, anchor your mind on your breath when you either sit, lying down, or standing. And now we move from the left hand to the right hand, and we're using the left thumb, again, massaging the joints. So when we massage the joints, we are improving the flow of the energy. And there's very fundamental understanding that when the energy is blocked, your body will start to ache because you start to inflame. Okay. Now we're done with the palm of a hand. Let's turn around and we're going to start with the tip of the fingers again. And this time we're going to take a thumb and the index fingers and just put it on both sides of the nail and just kind of squeeze it a little bit. And the energy channel that are in the inside away from the sun, that's yin. The energy channel on the back of the hand facing the sun, that's yang. And you would find if you study what we call the meridians, the 12 meridians, many of the yang channel will start at the corner of the nail. Okay, now we finish with the left hand, we come to the right hand. And then again, we're going to work on the joints, right? Just very meticulously work on the joints. Now, these are the things you can do on your own when you're watching TV, when you're waiting for an appointment, when you're sitting on the bus, when you're waiting in the traffic. These are things you can do, especially when you're flying and when you're stuck on the plane for, if you're going to Japan or whatever, you're stuck on the plane for 12 hours to 15. There's not much movement. Yeah, you can get up and do some stretching and all that. But what happens if you sit in the middle, right? Then you're kind of stuck. And what I find is that if I just spend time massaging my fingers, doing some simple exercise, it actually improves the entire body. It just improves the flow, right? Okay, so now we're done with the fingertips, we're done with the joints. We're going to continue to work on the back of the hand. And this time we're moving. Remember now, we're moving from the fingertips all the way to the toe. So, and now we're going to massage between the knuckles. And we're going to take our right thumb, use the edge of the thumb, and we're actually going to start where the two fingers meet and just kind of massage that. Massage that. Okay, and then now we do it on the other side. And now we're going to massage in between the fingers in the back of the hand. So take your thumb and just kind of slide it in between. And then now do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we keep moving, right? We keep moving. And so now the fingers, they join together at the wrist. So if you just go and feel the wrist, you actually can find like two dimple. We're going to be doing some acupressure now. So we're going to take the thumb and just kind of put some pressure on that dimple. And you feel a little bit of soreness. Same thing on the other side. These all have names. These all have names, right? And now what we're going to do is we're working on the little fingers. Let it come down to the edge, and then you would find like a little dimple right here, a little dimple right here. And then similarly on the thumb, it comes down to the edge of the hand, a little dimple right here, and then a little dimple right here. These are all relieve the blockage. And all right, so what's left is the thumb. So we're going to massage the thumb now individually. And then we're going to do the same thing on the right hand. Now there's a part of the thumb that looks like the drumstick. This is actually a very important energy point. And so we're going to take our index finger and our thumb as if we're making a pincher, and we're just going to pinch that part. Pinch that part. And we're going to use a knuckle and just kind of drill into that part. Similarly over here. Okay. Now we're done with the fingers. We're done with the thumb. Now to the center of a palm. The center of the palm has an energy line that called pericardium. It's actually a very important. It's all the muscles and whatnot on the outside the heart. And so there's an energy point right here that is very important. There's the only energy point that can give out energy. So this is why we call this a healing hand. And this basically in between the index fingers and the thumb, the middle fingers comes down. So if you're not sure, you bend your middle fingers is right there. And so we're going to use a knuckle. Right? Same thing on the other side. Okay, now we're going to use a healing hand. We put the right hand on top of the left hand, and we're going to squeeze the fingers and just massage the hand. And the other side. Okay, and put it back together. Okay, so now we're going to do some finger exercise. The first one is a very famous one, practiced very commonly in Taiwan. It's actually, I'm not sure it's invented, but it was definitely promoted by a professor who, after he retired, actually had a minor stroke. And he discovered that this exercise actually helps him recover from the stroke, and even recommended to people to prevent from having a stroke. And it's based on the idea that when we talk about the yin and yang, we're really talking about the elements. So we say the influence of the sun and then the influence of the absence of the sun. So what is the absence of the sun? Well, the absence of the sun is not the moon. The moon have tremendous effect on us, but it's really gravitational effect. It's gravitational effect, and it's also blocking uh, the solar wind and all that. But it doesn't have a molten core, so it has no magnetic effect on us. The other planets, the Venus, the Jupiter, the Mars, and all that, they have magnetic effect on us. And so the idea of the yin and yang is that when the sun comes out, the sun dominates. When the sun sets, or we're turning our back to the sun, then the other elements would dominate. And so the Chinese believe that these planets, they represent 5 different kinds of energy: the water, the vegetation, the fire, the mineral, the soil, and the mineral, right? And everything they talk about is in 5. Everything they talk about is in 5. A long time ago, when my daughter brought back his her current girlfriend, boyfriend to visit us, they went in a great length to buy us a very nice Japanese-looking tea set, and I really enjoyed this, but I don't think it's authentic. So that was the wrong thing to say, actually. So they were kind of, they didn't understand why. They were a little bit upset that, perhaps they didn't buy me the best gift possible. I said, it's not authentic. It cannot be, because it comes with 4 cups. 4 cups makes sense, right? No, the authentic Japanese tea set comes with 5 cups. It's always 5, because it's always the 5 elements. So anyway, the Eastern cultures believe the fingers represents the 5 elements. Not only the fingers represent the 5 elements, the 5 elements also reflect in our internal organs, what we call the yin organs. The water is the kidney, the vegetation is the liver, the fire is the heart, and then the soil is the spleen, and then finally the mineral is the lung. And so the fingers represents the 5 elements, the organs represents the 5 elements. So the Chinese believe that by using working on the fingers, it will improve the energy flow inside of us. Very simple exercise. Stretch your spine. Always come back to the spine, because the spine is a channel. It's outside of the 12 meridians. It's called the guardian channel. It's where all the yang energy gathers and goes all to the top of the head. So whenever we do qigong exercise, we always come back to the spine. We stretch the spine. We lean back. We relax. We lift up the shoulder. We open the shoulder, and then we relax. Now we take the 2 hands. We take the thumb and the index fingers. We put that together, and we squeeze as hard as we can. It's just that simple. We take the thumb. We put that in the middle fingers, and we squeeze as hard as we can. Then the ring finger, and we squeeze as hard as we can. And finally, the thumb and the small fingers, and we squeeze as hard as we can. All right. So you can imagine that if someone had a minor stroke and they had to go through physical therapy, this would be a good one. Now, we continue. We take the thumb, we put that in the middle of the index finger, and we squeeze, and then squeeze, and then squeeze, and then squeeze. It is just that simple, right? But the Chinese believe that it activates the energy system, clear all the blockage, and prevent stroke. Because stroke, right? Very often we associate stroke with cholesterol. Oh, they have so much cholesterol in the bloodstream, and if one piece breaks off, they go into heart, you get heart attack. If it goes in the brain, you have a stroke. Well, why do you have cholesterol? Because you have inflamed vessel. So it really comes back to the inflammation. All right, now the second finger exercise is more of the exercise of the brain. It's really to maintain our neurological health. Now this comes not only with the fingers and the idea of the fingers improving the flow of energy, but it really goes back to the origin of our evolution. right? We actually learned to. We had the the capability, the facility to walk down from the trees and evolve away from the apes and the chimpanzees because we knew how to use the thumb. We were the first to know how to use the thumb. Once we know how to use the thumb, we can coordinate with the rest of the hand. Now we can break off the tree, branch from the tree and use it as defensive weapon. Right? Human beings in the beginning were prey. We were not predators, and so at least we know how to defend ourselves, and that started the evolution. So the fingers and the brain is actually very closely tied. Once we knew how to use the fingers, we evolved much faster than the other species in the kingdom. And so this exercise works on the fingers, but not only the fingers, but it works on the separation of the left brain and the right brain. And so it's a very simple exercise. And so once again, we come back to the spine, we stretch the spine, we lift up our shoulder, we open our shoulder, we lean back, we relax. Now we take a right hand, which means that we're using our left brain, and we bring in the fingers one at a time. First the thumb, then two fingers, then the index fingers, then the little fingers. We put down a right hand, we bring up a left hand, meaning that we're using the right side of the brain. We do the thumb, two fingers, index, the little fingers. Then we bring up two hands and we squeeze as hard as we can. We leave our right hand, we open our hands in reverse order, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Put down the right hand, bring up the left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Then we stretch as hard as we can. Then we say to ourselves, that was the first one. Now we're ready to do the second one. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. We squeeze as hard as we can. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then we stretch as hard as we can. Again, we say to ourselves, that was the second time. Now we're going to do the final time. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. And then we squeeze as hard as we can. And then little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then we stretch as hard as we can. All right. Now, the Western doctors, Western scientists have started to recognize that the chamber between the left brain and the right brain is in fact an organ all by itself, right? And I mentioned this many times that I watched my father pass away, suffering dementia for many years. And as I look back, first sign of dementia is not when they lose their memory or the ability to make a cognitive decision. It's really when they lose balance, and it's really when they lose dexterity of the fingers. I remember that one time. Now I have very short hair because it's easier for me to manage, but it's also the only kind of hairstyle I can have when my wife is my barber. But before my wife was my barber, my father was my barber since I was a child because he was a professional barber. And so even after I came to the United States, I came to the United States when I was 15 years old. And so until his 70s, he was still my barber. And one day, as he was cutting my hair, he dropped his. He has a. He's a old. He's old school. So he has his scissor on one side, his plastic. Well, actually, I'm not sure it's plastic. It's ivory maybe. Comb on the other side, and this is how he cuts. And then all of a sudden he drops it. And so I reach out and I picks it up, and he cuts and he drops it. And it like happened 5 or 6 times. And as I look back, that was the beginning. That was the beginning that he lose dexterity of his fingers. He couldn't walk quite straight anymore. He has a change of his personality. It all comes from not able to separate the right brain from the left brain. Okay. And so you would notice that we do a lot of balancing exercise here. Not so much today, but like last week, the week after, we do a lot of balancing exercise here, forcing ourselves to use the left brain and the right brain. Okay. All right. So now that we're done with the finger exercise, We're going to sit up straight. We're going to put our fingers together, our palm together. We're going to push together, and then we're going to lift up our elbow. And then we're going to bring down our hands without leaving the palm of the hand, right? And then we're going to come back. Now we're going to go from massage, acupressure to another modality. Another modality is tapping. Now, keep in mind that tapping is just energizing the channel, right? And so the first tapping we're going to do is back to the fingertips. So I want you to put the fingers together and close your. Actually, you cannot do it. Close your eye because you need balancing. But in any case, I want you to anchor your mind on your fingertips. Get ready? Go 30 times. I want you to cross your hand and tap that 30 times. Now we're going to tap two very important energy points at the palm of the hand. One is along the little fingers and one is along the thumb, this part right here. Now this one actually is part of the heart meridians, but in Chinese they don't separate heart as the physical organ or heart as in the mind. This one is more about the mind. And so the energies along here are the ones that we recommend clearing. If there's any blockage, it actually affects your sleep, right? And so we're going to start with this one, and we're going to put our hands together, forming a V. Again, it's not bone against bone, right? Just the meaty part. Okay, get ready. 30 times. And do the same on over here, 30 times. Okay, now this is the yin side, away from the sun. On the yang side, the heart or the mind meridian is now the small intestine meridian, and it's kind of interesting the pairing. But that's sort of consistent with the Western scientific discovery now that, for example, Parkinson turns out to be very related to probiotic health. Hmm? Okay, so there's an energy point on the edge of the or the hand that is very important. It's actually a magical energy point that somehow connects to your yang energy, your yang energy in the spine. So there's a lot of literature on that. And as we age, this is actually a very important energy point. And as we age, we kind of bend back a little bit like this, right? We're losing the stiffness of our spine, and that's actually the first sign of aging. Because what happens is that you're losing your ability to manufacture marrow, but you're also compressing your lung, and so it's the beginning, right? So this is a very important entry point. And later on, when we start using tapping on the feet, I will remind you to use this energy point. Okay. So how do you find that? It's very simple. You take your palm, you fold it, you see the line, it's just right there. And so now you put your hands together, you fold, you lay it flat, you roll up your fingers, forming a very soft fist, and you tap that energy point 30 times. Now, that's the heart or mind, small intestine pairing. The lung pairs with the large intestines, which is very interesting. So, in the Chinese understanding, they don't think of the lung as the organ, but more like the mineral energy. So, the mineral, as you can imagine, is what gives vitality to life, right? So, the lung part is what's um, uh, 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 is the part of the energy channel that is responsible for delivering life, right? Source of life in the body. The opposite of that is the large intestine. It's the one that takes away all the toxins. So it's interesting. Now, this energy point is quite interesting. So it's called the merging, I call it the merging valley. And so if you take your thumb and your index finger, you spread it out, you notice that there's a dip, right? And that's the point. Now, let us learn how to do some acupressure on that. And because this energy point, first of all, it's on the yang side. Now, a lot of our health, and last week I mentioned that our modern health is pandemic, alcohol pandemic, right? We have a lot of health issues these days that are part of our modern living, right? Things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, uh, fatty liver, dementia, gout, all that is really they're not attacked from the outside. They're not because we somehow or another being attacked by a external pathogen, but it's more like we just our lifestyles doesn't help us. We're losing our ability to heal ourselves, right? To heal ourselves, and so and all that comes. Last week I said it started with electrification. It started with electrification. Once we had light bulbs, we knew how we decided that we weren't going to live according to the sun anymore. And what happened is that you develop this disorder between the sympathetic, or what we call the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, which what we call the rest and digest. The sympathetic is yang, is where we used to be outside of the cave under the sun, and that's when we sense danger, right? And yin is when we're inside the cave, away from the light, and that's when we're in comfort. And so the Chinese basically has the same concept, right? So the yang is when you're outside, and the hormone that developed when you're outside, when you're in danger, actually heals you. It actually heals you because it's all the steroid that you put out. And so if your body inflames, your body right at that moment has the ability to heal you, right? To self-healing. Whereas when you return to the cave is where you develop the the restoring power, because too much hormone, too much stress hormone is not a good thing. You develop what's called cortisol resistance, and that's what we have these days. Is that people have so much cortisol in the body, they lose their sensitivity to their own healing agent, and so their body inflamed. Right? It's chronic inflammation now, and so the idea that what we do here is we're trying to really develop the harmony between the yin and the yang. And in particular, the yang side has that ability to release hormone, release steroid. And so this one is actually very famous for reducing their pain. Right? Whether you have pain that comes from leg cramps or any kind of pain. Now, let me show you how to use that energy point. I use it all the time. And so you stretch your thumb and the index finger, and you notice this ridge. Then you take your thumb and you notice this line. Then you put the line on top of the ridge, and you just go down with your thumb like this, and you press in, not with your fingernail, and you kind of move it around until you find, oh, that's the one, and it feels like sore. And so you just press in it. Next time when you have a leg cramp or when you feel pain, or just do this, right? Now, same thing on the other side. It really helps. All right. Now we're going to tap that energy point using the small intestine with the large intestine. Get ready. 30 times. The other side. Okay. So my mom has been absent from her class for the last few days, and she comes down with something. First, it was just running nose, causing coughing, and yesterday or the night before, then she started with a sore throat. And so now that's a that's a virus. Okay, it's a very common virus. We all have it. I mean, all it comes, and now the only way to fight virus is with yourself. There's nothing you can do to do that, right? However, the virus can actually cause uh, in, uh, uh, um, infection, right? And so when you're a strong person, then you can fight it on your own. When you're weak, like my mom, 90 years old, then it's better that she takes some antibiotic, and that's what she's doing now. And guess what? This morning I come down with the same thing, and I just feel it because I'm very sensitive to my body, and so I feel like, oh, I have itchy throat. Yeah, kind of like that. I think if I don't take care of it, it'll become a sore throat. So of course, things like bring um, gargling with salt, drinking some lemon with honey, all those helps. But what really helps is this scraping. All right. Now I got a lot of tools here, so this one you probably seen this for the first time. It's a very old ruler. It's probably 90 years old, and I asked my wife if we have a old ruler at home, and she said, "Well, not here, but at my parents' house, they still have that house. Their parents passed away some years back, and we actually have an old ruler, and so this was actually part of the dowry from my wife's mother, and it used to have metal inlays. You can still see the mark, inches and whatnot, and it all came went off. But something like that with a kind of a sharp edge, but not so much that it hurt you. Another one I have a gift from someone actually is a triangular piece like this that has a smooth edge and then a sharp edge. Another one you can use, something you can buy from Amazon. This one actually is very good for doing acupressure, right, like that. Or actually can be used for scraping. If you don't have anything, you still have your knuckle. You still have your knuckle. Scraping is now has now attracted a lot of interest from the Western scientific world because it really helps. So now the Western understanding is that when you scrape, you relieve some of the uh, immune uh, agents underneath that are on the underneath, and it can actually improve your self healing or your immunity. Now, what we do here is very systematic. And so you take something like this, or you just use a knuckle, and you start at the center. Now, first of all, inside is yin, away from the sun. Outside is yang, right, towards the sun. Outside is where we clear the channel to reduce inflammation. Inside is where we store the sensitivity to our stress hormone, right? Cortisol. All right. So Guasa is scraping. Someone Clara asks, is it when a Guasa work just as well as for scraping? Yes, Guasa is scraping. Guat means scrape. Sa is now Guasa is a very professional technique that they actually scrape it until you see some redness, and they call those sa, which means sand, right? So guasa is scraping. And now, for those of you, I was going to look for that word, but if you go to Amazon and you just type in guasa, Guesha, then you will find lots of tools, right? Okay, so this is guasa. But I don't recommend you do it in such a way that you get redness, okay? Just very simple, very gentle. You take a ruler, you take a guasa tool, you take anything, and you start at the center line, which is the pericardium, but you start at the elbow. Now, some people all go all the way to the rest of the body. I just do it from the elbow to the wrist. So you take that and you just scrape. Now, at first, you said, wow, that really hurts. Well, first of all, maybe you're too aggressive, but also because you actually need it, because hurt now means that your body is inflamed, okay? And so you just scrape from the center all the way to the wrist. Now, this is the pericardium. Now we move up and you see the bone. Underneath the bone is the lung. Then you scrape the bone. Then you scrape on the outside the bone, which is the large intestine. Now, the large intestine, first of all, you have to understand that when I say large intestines, I don't actually mean specifically the organ. I have in mind an energy line that we associate with the large intestine. Okay, now, so you have different ways you can think about this. One is that the large intestines of lung belongs to the mineral element. So you can say that, oh, that's the yang side of the mineral channel. That's one way. The other way you can think about it is that, oh, it eventually go and connect through and passes through the large intestine. That's why it's called that. And so by scraping the large intestine, the reason always they have something to do with the large intestine, but it's an energy channel. It has other benefits. One of the benefits is that this large energy channel, which starts at the corner of the nail and the thumb, runs along this right here, goes on the outside of the bone. It goes all the way in. It passes through the if I this is a tough one. What is that called? That the gland that we have here. Anyway, so some of you will be able to help me because sometimes someday I remember the Chinese, some days I remember the English. It's part of your lymphatic system. But anyway, so and that's why if you have an issue with, I'll come to me in a minute. Okay, and this is thyroid. Thank you so much. So it turns out that this energy line runs past the thyroid. So if you have thyroid issue, whether it's too energetic or not energetic, then if you go in and look for what can you do, well they would ask you to scrape this large intestine meridian. Not so much that the large intestine have anything with the thyroid. Um, uh, that would be something difficult to explain. But what it does is that the energy line passes through the thyroid, right? So if you clear the energy channel that passes through your thyroid, the thyroid would not inflame. Okay, now we scrape the center. The center is what we call the triple warmer. It's an unfortunate mistranslation. Triple warmer, like you have three hot plate, and this one warms, that one warms, that one warms. You would think that, but actually, the word doesn't mean warmer, doesn't mean focus, doesn't mean heat. It actually meant connected tissue. It's just that in the old word, um, they simplify it, and so someone would look at that and say, "Oh, that means warmer," but it's actually the best explanation is triple compartment. What's above the diaphragm, what's between the diaphragm and the belly button, and what's below the belly button. So the Chinese think of this body as in three compartments, and they each compartment has a function. What's above the diaphragm is the lung and the heart. This is the one that is responsible for distributing all the life ingredients, life elements into the body. What's between the diaphragm and the belly button is actually where you do uh, your fermentation. And then what's below your belly button is how you clear the toxins in your body. So that one is not just to pass out the toxin, it's as much as pass out the toxin, it is to retain the nutrient. And so that's why, like my mom, she has congested heart, failing heart, and she has to take diuretics, right, to pass out the water. It's really bad for you because what it does, it just forces all your mineral out. But normally, the kidney and all that is to retain the nutrients, right? And so the three parts have its functions, but there is the energy channel that connects all three. That's the triple warmer. So this one is really important. Not only that, but this one runs all the way up to the back of the ear, runs up the ear, comes down to the right outside your ear canal, and even connects the end of your eye. So if you have any problem, and the ears, now we believe that the ears is a water element. Okay, the tongue is a fire element, and the nose is actually connected to the lung, so there's a mineral element, and so forth. So if you have any problem with the ear, is deficiency, right? So um, this energy line runs across here. So this is really recommended. This triple warmer is really a good one. And when I don't have enough time and I want to concentrate on my therapy, self-therapy, I will scrape the triple warmer and I will scrape the large intestines, right? I do this all, at least once a day, if not twice a day. Sometimes I even do it in the middle of the night when I wake up for no reason and I feel like my hands are kind of warm, and I know that's because the carpal tunnel is acting. And so I would just use my knuckle, right? Use my knuckle and scrape. And so like today, when I'm on kind of on the verge of having a sore throat or that kind of thing, I knew that I need I need some help, and so I would probably spend the rest of the day scraping. And okay, so now we turn our hands, we scrape on the outside of the bone, we scrape the bone, we scrape the inside of the bone, we scrape the center line, and then finally we scrape along the small fingers. This one actually is very famous. This energy point here is the one that if you have problem falling to sleep, this this is highly recommended. So I would scrape here about 4 inches, then I scrape all the way to the elbow. Okay, I highly recommend sweeping. Now, the other exercise that people do regularly is sort of a cheap man's acupuncture. Is what do you call that? Uh, the suction cup, right? Except that the suction cup you do in the back on the large on the bladder meridian, and it's hard to do on your own, and it's kind of dangerous because you're using uh, flame or whatever. And but scraping is easy, right? I highly recommend scraping. All right, now move up a little bit on the inside, on top of the bone, and on the outside, and then in the center part, the triple warmer, scrape the fingers. And if you have like arthritis, all we all do, and you use the like parts that are kind of painful, and you just kind of scrape it, right? Sometimes the thumb hurts a lot because I'm using my thumb all the time, and scrape, scrape, scrape. All right, all right. So learn to do that. It's cheap, it's effective, and you learn to enjoy it. You learn to enjoy it. And so you notice that there's some redness in the hand. That's obvious, but I don't do it in such a way that you can actually see like some. I don't do that. So this is good enough. All right. Yeah, I'll do my best to stay in frame. Okay. Um, can one use a dry brush? I suppose. Yeah, I suppose. Um, I just say cupping is dangerous because the old-fashioned way of cupping is that what you're doing is you're creating a vacuum. So the old-fashioned is that you're using a flame. You actually have a cotton swab, a big cotton swab, and you dip it in alcohol, you light it, you put it into the cup, and to create that vacuum, and boom, like this, right? And and it's hard to control. Sometimes you suck the skin so much that it always becomes red. I don't like that. I don't like beating my body into submission. Okay. All right. So now we spent a lot of time on scraping because I just think that it's important. And so now we're going to do the next part, which is really an energetic exercise on the fingers. Action, you go to reaction. And action is when the energy leaves the body, that's yang, and what comes back is the reaction, and that's the yin energy. That's really a good way to clear the energy channel. If you have carpal tunnel, we all do. We all have carpal tunnel. Modern living, you cannot escape it. mouse, it can come from using an iPhone, it can come from chopping vegetables, in part of your chop. It's there. So this one is the exercise is very good. The scraping is very good for carpal tunnel. So we sit up straight and we lock the elbow. We point all fingers towards the camera. We roll up the four fingers and then we hold down the four fingers. The four fingers are the springs, but we hold down the springs. We wind up the springs and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we continue. We open the shoulder. Now, this one is good for carpal tunnel. The next one is actually good for frozen shoulder. So you open your shoulder, relax. Then you take your hand, you form the lotus hand. You take your middle fingers and your thumb, you put it together, you stretch out the other three, you put that in front of your shoulder. This energy point is called the gate to the clouds, part of the lung energy meridian. And once again, you open, you sit up straight, back of the hand facing the camera. Get ready. 1, back of the hand facing the camera. Come back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? All right. So notice that we're moving right towards the top of the head now, right? And now we're working towards the top of the head, and the very important part is right here. Now it turns out that a lot of the energy points in here start with the word wind. Wind is something you cannot see, you cannot smell, you cannot taste, you can only feel. So wind is one of the 4 elements, and basically it means nerve. So this is when you have a lot of blockage here, you start to develop pain, headaches, and all that. And so here we're going to relieve some of that, some of the stress by taking a thumb and just find that first cavity. This is called the pond of wind. It's part of the gallbladder energy. And so let's massage that a little bit. And then we press in with our thumb. We lean back. And then as if you're squeezing a water hose. And then we relax. Now we take a right hand, we put that on the left side. We press down. And then we grab the left side of the neck. We pull it towards the right. We do the same thing on the other side. We press down with 4 fingers. We grab the right side and we pull it to the left. Now, someone mentioned vagus nerve. Vagus nerve starts right here. And so there's a lot of instruments you can buy now that would excite your vagus nerve, right? And so they either work on this side or they work on this side, but it's always around here. And so this is actually one of the important cavities that we're going to be talking about today. I think it's the 8 or 9 cavities that are the longevity cavities. This is the first one. And so you lift up your ear loop, you take your right hand and you just put it right here and you massage that. You massage that. And then you grab that and then just kind of pull it to the middle. Just massage. Massage. And then on the right side, you massage. Massage. And massage. And massage. Now you take your right hand, you put that on top of your ear, you just massage. Massage. And then you do the same thing on the other side. You massage. And massage. All right. Now there's 2 energy points that are very important that will help you sleep because it activates the vagus nerve. And so this is the first energy point, but this one is actually much more well known. So it's right in the middle between your ear and this energy point, and it's right in the middle. And first you find the top of the bone, then you slide down a little bit and you see the cavity, and you just kind of massage that, and you feel that there's a relief of stress. And okay, all right. Then you're going to massage the neck by grabbing the two energy point. Then you massage the middle of the neck, grabbing another 2 sets of energy point. Then go down further. There's 2 more. Okay, so that's what you do. All right. So I mentioned last week that the week before I was at the dentist's office, and she happens to be my brother-in-law, and he was drilling into my teeth. He's trying to do implants and all that, and I laid down. It was so stressful. So as he was working on it, I just kind of squeezed those two energy points, right? Okay. All right. So now we learn to now we're going to do more, and so if you look up lymphatic, right, our entire lymphatic system, you would you will find some overlap between what we do here and the lymphatic system. Okay, and so this actually is a very important area for the lymph node. And so we lift up our ear again. We take our right hand. We use the edge of the index finger, and we just very gently scrape, 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 scrape. And then now we work on the shoulder. There's a cavity here, and then there's a cavity here, and then there's a cavity here. Right. So this is the difference between fascia massage and the regular massage therapy is that we're not working on muscle. We're trying to relieve the blockage of our chi channel. Okay. And then same thing on the right side. Take your index finger, take the edge, lift up your, and then just kind of scrape. And then shoulder, back of the shoulder, on the side. You see a lot of cavity. You can feel it. All right. So we're done with the back of the neck. We're done with the shoulder. Now we get the front of the face, right? Now, once again, we come back to our center of the palm. There's a branch of Qigong exercise that uses nothing but your palm to create that energy field. You put your hands together, you rub them, but now it's very important that you focus on that. You bring your mind and your body together. All right. Now, what that does is that it actually creates heat, which is infrared. And then what you do is you put your palm in front of your eye. Okay. Now, you do that by forming an empty hand, and you put that in front of the eye. So it's like a cup, right? So you're not touching the eyeball. And then you open your eyes, and if you don't, if you should see just darkness. But if you see light, that means that you need to kind of move your hand so that you're blocking all the lights from the side. Okay, that's all you do. Now, first rub, and then put that on your eye. And you said, nothing. Oh, okay. Let the eye adjust. Put that on your eye. You see warm now, right? Feel a little bit warm. All right. One more time. Put that on your eye. Now, massage the forehead, massage the face, massage the side of the face, and then put that energy point on top of your temple. Okay, now we're going to learn to massage around the eyes that relieve stress. First is in between the eyebrow. So massage in between the eyebrow. And then use your fingers to kind of massage your forehead from the eyebrow to the top of the head. Okay, and then now massage the beginning of the eyebrow and massage the top of the eyebrow. Okay, so those are energy points that can relieve stress. All right. Okay, now massage the forehead. Massage this triangular points right here. There's a name for that. Massage the top of your head, the big brain, the back of the brain, the low part of your brain, and then the neck, and then massage above the ear, back to the face, and then back to the finger. Grab each of the fingers and just kind of turn around. Now, Michelle says, I love self-massage. The key to self-massage is the whisper. As you massage, you whisper to yourself, and you start with gratitude. You want to be sure that you treat your body as not only your vehicle, but as your companion. And you say, I appreciate you, I appreciate what you do for me. And then the next one is acceptance. You accept your body as is, right? So these days we're talking about body positive. I say chi positive. Just accept your body. It is just a presentation of you, right? All right. So now we're going to learn to massage the eyes. There's a second cavity. This is the first one. The eye is the second one. And turns out that there's 3 energy points on top and there's 3 energy points on underneath. So first, you take your index finger, you start at the beginning of the eyebrow, where we were before, and you just press down, you sit up, and use a little bit of effort on your neck to provide the pressure. Now, you put your index finger in between your eyebrow, and you just kind of massage the eyebrow as if you're squeezing a toothpaste, okay? And what it does is that not only it massages the 3 important energy points, it also allows you to massage the tube that carries the oil into your eye. Okay, as we age, our eye gets dry because we don't have any oil. It's not because we don't have any tear. You can buy all the artificial tear that exists and put it on your eye, and it will still get dry because you don't have any oil. Right? Now, then we continue. We take the thumb, we put that below the eye bag from the corner of the eye to the tip. Right? And we're here. Now we come back to the corner of the eye. We put an index finger right here. It's actually not on the corner, but kind of touching the corner, but it's actually on the bridge of the nose. There's energy points for the right eye. We put some pressure on that. And now we're going to do some eye yoga. We close the eye. We turn the eyeballs up, looking as far up as we can. We turn the eyeballs to the right as far as we can. Close your eye. We turn it down. We turn it to the left. We come back to the top. We're going to do that clockwise. Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Come back to the top. We're going to do a counterclockwise. Left, down, right, up. Left, down, right, up. Left, down, right, up. Open your eyes. These two are called bright eyes. Okay. Now we take the 2 fingers, massage outside the nose. Massage. Massage. Okay, now we take index finger, put it right here. Right? Put the index finger outside the nostril, and then we're going to massage the neck. Okay, now we're running out of time, so I'm going to do quickly the rest by just finishing massaging the ear. The ear is just important because the Chinese believe that the ear has the shape of the fetus, so therefore it must contain all the energy points of the fetus, which means that it contains all the energy points of your body. Now, first the top, then the middle, and then the index fingers out inside. Then the tip of the finger, the ear, yank, the edge, the ear loop, yank. Now leave the thumb behind the ear loop, which is a very important energy point. Put the index finger outside of the ear canal and just massage. Now we massage the back of the ear. And then we put 2 fingers, one on the ear, one on the skull, from the top to the bottom. Now we do the same thing. And then, all right? Okay. One last thing we're going to do. Close your ears, and then 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now we're going to jump to the end by making sure that we cover all those longevity cavities. We already did it behind the ear. We did it across the eyes. The next one is the belly button. So we take a hand and just kind of massage the belly button. There are 2 energy points, one on top, one on the bottom. 2 energy points, one on the left, on the right. And we just kind of massage that. And then we're going to massage like the large intestine. Okay. All right. Now we're going to massage the armpit. The armpit is where the lymph nodes are, but it's also the energy point that connects to our heart, as well as a path for the energy lines that we name after the liver. So it's a very important energy point. Now, we're going to do 2 things at once. We're going to massage here, and then we're going to massage here. So take the thumb, use this part of your thumb, and just massage your armpit. And then we do the same thing, we massage the outside. And now we come to the elbow. The elbow is also where the lymph nodes are, but it's also where the energy line with the pericardium, the heart, and the mind. Okay. Now the lymph node is just a communication channel. It doesn't um, uh, um, do anything other than to let it's a fast track, right? When you're being attacked by external pathogen, it's a fast track to tell the body to react and generate more white blood cell. Um, the meridians is the communication channel, so it's no wonder that they overlap a little bit, right? Okay, so now we're going to massage the elbow, top, middle, and then in the inside. Same thing, right? So now these cavities are the places that you not only want to massage on a daily basis, you can also tap them. We don't have enough time to do that today, but because I want to talk more about meditation, and but it's also a place that you want to keep dry. So I, after a shower, I would take the blow dryer, which doesn't exist in ancient time. Okay, so all the things we talk about, scraping and cupping and all that, that exists in ancient time, but not the blow dryer. But I use the blow dryer and I make sure I dry here, here, behind my ear, right, and then also the rest. Okay, I'll show you what the rest look like. Okay, now let me jump to the bottom of the feet. All right, so you see the ball area, and right underneath the ball area, I use two thumb and just kind of do some pressure here. So this is a very important energy point. It's called the gushing spring. This is the beginning of the kidney energy line. Kidney is water. Water is the source of life. Okay, now you take your right hand using this part and massage. And then you use the edge of your palm, remember this energy point right here, and you massage. Okay, now you bend back your toes and you see this tendon right here. Okay, and this is actually called the longevity tendon. So let's just give it a scrape. Okay, now while you're bending the toes, you form empty hand, you put that together. We're going to tap that 30 times. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay. There's a very important Chinese concept in maintaining health. It's called the balance of the water and fire. What's below the belly button is water. What's above the diaphragm is fire. And so it's imagine when you're growing vegetable, you want the sun and you want the water. And in between is the soil. And the soil is right here. Okay? The soil is responsible for two things. One is that it is responsible for transformation, right? Taking your whatever that you put in and decompose it and make it into mineral, right? But the other one is it's responsible for transportation, making sure that the water elements flow freely. And so when the water and the fire doesn't mix, then it affects the health. And so this exercise is called mixing the water and fire because this is fire, this is water. Okay, it's very, very famous. It's invented by a doctor in the Tang Dynasty. Okay, now to the right, and once again, let's do some upward pressure, and then massage, and then using that as a blade, and then bring back the toes, scrape the longevity cavity, and then leaving the toes bent, and then empty hand 30 times. Get ready, go. Continue. Okay, right, so I want to get to the end and pay special attention to meditation, to abdominal breathing meditation, and because it turns out that that is the most important thing you can do if you're suffering from uh, insomnia. Okay. All right. So another longevity cavity is right behind your knee. So let's just massage that, and then we're going to tap that 30 times. Continue. Okay, and finally, a very important cavity is right here. This is where the lymph nodes are. This is also where the bottlenecks for the yang energy to come up. The liver energy, the kidney energy, and the spleen energy. But it's also the places closest to your reproductive organ, whether you're male or female. And so the Chinese believe that your reproductive organ is actually the source of life, obviously. And so that would be true even when you age. When you age and you're no longer using your reproductive system for its intended purpose, but it still remains the source of life. Okay, and so this is the thing that you want to do. And so I recommend that you do this every night when you lay on your bed before you go to sleep, and just clear that channel. And then now, and especially when you're a male, and in my age, you worry about your what is that called again? I need to write all that down. Okay. Now we're going to tap that 30 times. Okay. Get ready. Go. Okay. So now we're going to do today's exercise called Yi Jing Jing. And it's a Qigong exercise, basically the original Qigong exercise. But it does, from a modern perspective, it does combine the three parts, three elements that are important for aging. One is stretching, the other one is cardio, and finally is muscle building. Okay, but it's designed to clear all the channels. It is also designed to activate your calf. The calf is the second heart. This is closely associated with dementia. Okay, there's more and more understanding of that now. And so each exercise start with the bottom of your feet. So the bottom of your feet where we were tapping is called a gushing spring. The idea is that you are now part of the universe. Energy comes through the bottom of your feet and then leave the top of the head and be part of the universe. So when we say chi, we actually meant energy in the universe, not energy within you. Okay. So now we stand with the energy point touching the ground. We turn our toes inward. We loosen up the knee. We don't need to bend it like this. We just loosen it up. So we're using the calf. There's a very important energy point here. Then we come back to the shoulder. We open the shoulder, relax. Now the shoulder, where we were massaging before, that's called the well on the shoulder. So you want to put that well on top of the spring. All right. Now you lean back your forehead so the ears on top of your shoulder. You tuck in your chin. So the top of the head is where all the yang energy comes together. That's what 100 meat is now pointing to the sky. So the counterpart of this one is the energy point that is between your reproductive organ and your bowel. That's called the yen meat. So imagine you're forming a straight line between these two. Then you take your palm, this energy point that is the healing hand, you point that to the earth. You bring it back just enough so that this is on either side of that straight line. Now, the first one is called spirit boosting palm. You're going to send a shock wave, right, into your core. But you do that with your mind. It's not the physical force, it's actually mental force. So I'm going to say go, but that's a signal for you to focus on the center of your palm and you push with your mind. You ready? Go. And then now it's very important that you go from the yang, which is energetic, to the yin, which is restorative. In other words, the energetic exercise is when you heal yourself because it releases cortisol, which is steroid, reduces inflammation. But now you got to give it equal time so you can restore the sensitivity to that steroid by focusing on your breath, one breath at a time. Now, after two breaths, you are ready for the second time. Again, focus on the center of your palm. Get ready. Go. Back to the breath. Okay, one last time. Go. And then back to the breath. Now, how do you know if you actually spent equal time on the restorative? The restorative is rest and digest. The energetic is fight or flight. What is the first thing your body would do when you're in fight or flight? It turns off your cyber gland. So when you're back into the rest and digest, the cyber gland should be reactivated. You should feel some wetness inside your mouth. Okay. All right. Now the second one is called pointing, which means that you're going from the palm to the finger. Then you point your thumb to either side of the hip. You roll up your four fingers. You lift up your thumb as if you have two buckets of water, and you're lifting up the two buckets of water, activating the lung and the large intestinal meridians. Then you relax without lowering your hand. You focus on your breath, one breath at a time. Second time, back to your breath. One last time. And then now lower your hand, completely relax, focusing on your breath. And check the inside of your mouth. Okay, make sure you're doing it right. Now, the next one is called beginner's mind. This is actually what the baby does, starting with inside the mother's womb by creating this energy that you feel. And so you put your thumb across, you roll up your four fingers, and then you squeeze as hard as you can. And then you let go of your fingers without lowering them, focusing on your breath. Second time, and then relax. So this one is the mind or the heart and the pericardium. One last time, and then lower your hand, completely relax, focusing on the breath. You notice that I'm constantly swallowing my saliva because I'm actually doing what I say you're supposed to do, which is completely relax, bring your body back into the rest and digest. Okay, and now we're going to take a deep breath by putting a fist together, put that in front of your belly button, and breathe in, and then relax. So this is doing the equivalent. The next one is going to be the equivalent of cupping. So we bring our elbows together, we focus entirely on the back, and we're going to crack open the back, stretching the back. That's what cupping does. And then relax. One breath at a time. Second time. And then relax. One breath at a time. One last time. Completely relax. Check the inside of your mouth. Right? We talk a lot about hydration. I believe in self-hydration. Open your shoulder. Open your fingers. We're going to make a fist by rolling the fist one joint at a time. Lock it with the thumb. Now this next one is very cardio. You're actually you're stressing your heart by squeezing your fist. And then you relax, let the blood comes back to the fingers. After 2 breaths, second time. And then relax. And then one last time, open your shoulder and squeeze. And then relax. Now the next one's called stabbing the shoulder. It actually activates the energy channel in the back of the neck, right? Which are named after wind. So it has a lot to do with nerve. So what you do is you open your shoulder. It's as if you grab 2 daggers. You point the dagger onto your shoulder, but it's important that you open your shoulder. And you just stab. And you feel the tightness in the back of the neck. And then you relax. Focusing on your breath. Second time, stab. Relax. Focusing on your breath. One breath at a time. Finally, the last time, stab. And then relax. Check the inside and mouth. The next one is called the cross. This one is actually stretching the triple warmer. We're not punching, okay? So you can imagine touching the 2 trees on the side. You roll your fist. You roll your fist. You take a deep breath and you push. And then go. Boom. Boom means avalanche. Pushing it so it causes avalanche. Second time, roll your wrist. Roll your fist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push. Go back to the breath. One last time. Wrist, fist, take a deep breath, push. And then relax. It's so important that we do the second time. It's called front hanging. Right? Lock your elbow, trees in front, roll your wrists, make a fist, take a deep breath, and push. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. Now, the next 2 is about muscle, especially this one. Okay? So we're doing chin up. So you look up, you see the bar across, you grab the bar, and you pull yourself up as hard as you can, and then you relax. Focusing on your breath. Second time. Relax. Focusing on your breath. One last time. Relax. Focusing on your breath. Check the inside and mouth. Okay, we continue. It's also about muscle, and this time is more right here, which is what you need for your lung and your heart. And I call this ripping the yellow page. You grab the yellow page, one half on each side, and you just rip that open. And then relax. Second time. Relax. One last time. Relax. Now we're going to swallow. This is the time when you check to see if you have saliva. You collect all your saliva and you swallow all the way down. Before you do anything else, you check the knee. We're not going to stand up, and we're going to stand with the neck, with the knee bent. Now you're going to straighten up your back. You put the back of the hand together. You go down. Now your knee is still loose, okay? You go straight down. You lock your elbow. You squeeze your fist one time. Back to the back of the hand touching. Second time. And one last time. You flip your hand, you focus on the center of your palm, you take a deep breath, and then breathe out, Breathe in, palm facing forward, lower your knee. This big rock in front of you, just push. Take a deep breath. And then breathe out and relax. Okay, now we're going to spend the next 10 minutes meditating. Okay, now some people ask, how am I supposed to sit? Well, you can sit even on a chair if you want. Just the bottom of your feet touching the floor, the height of the chair, just so that the bottom of your feet are below the knee, so they're not hanging and they're not so low that you have to put the feet either in front of the behind. But other than that, it's okay. Or you can sit like I do. I just sit with one in front of the other. You can. I know how to put one on top of each other. I don't know how to put both of them on top of each other. The key is that you're not trying to use any muscle. So if you need to, you put some blankets and pillows. Okay, and you don't lift up your heart, your hand. You're not using any muscle. Muscle is fire. And when we sit with the earth element. And so next thing you want to do is you want to straighten up your back and you want to lean back and relax. Now there's a little bit of refinement. If you like, you can do this too, which is after you straighten out your back, you move your upper torso forward and then you move it back, but you hold your hip in place. So as you move it back, you feel some pressure on the lower back, both the left and the right. Now, you might not need this in the beginning, but as you practice, you will find that this will actually give you a boost of energy by rotating the hip forward and leaning back the upper torso, putting pressure on the kidney, right? Because the essence of the kidney is the marrow that travels in your spine to the top of your head. It keeps your head very alert. Okay, so that's a refinement. But the minimum you need to do is straighten up your spine, lean back, and then relax. Then you want to lift up your shoulder, open that shoulder, and relax. That is a qigong exercise all by itself. Just opening up that area. Because what happens is that we don't know how to breathe with a diaphragm anymore. We're breathing with this. So there's a lot of stress here. And so what you want to do is relax by opening the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Next thing you want to do is you want to remove the load on your neck muscle by leaning back the forehead, putting the ears on top of the head, of the shoulder. The weight of the head is on top of your spine, and then you tuck in your chin so the top of the head is pointing to the sky. Then you relax the eyelid, and you might or might not see light coming through your eyelashes, but it's important to relax. Then finally, you put the tip of the tongue behind here, where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. Now this will turn on your where's that digest. Okay, and you feel some wetness inside your mouth. All right, so I'm just going to do two steps. So we're going to maybe over time a little bit. And this is a very important exercise. It's learning how to breathe, taking deep breaths using the diaphragm. And so those of you who suffer from dementia, the Chinese basically says that dementia is a result where yang cannot return to the yin. It's just a fancy way of saying that you have too much stress hormone. If you have cortisol in your body while you're trying to attempt into sleep, then the melatonin won't come out. And melatonin doesn't come out, then you're not going to sleep. And so how do you balance the yin and yang? You do that with the diaphragm. That's all. And so let's return to a posture. Let's do the first step. Focus on the belly button. And when you feel that you're breathing in, move the belly button forward. When you feel that you're breathing out, move the belly button back. Now, a lot of times outside, when they talk about deep breathing, they might not use the word abdominal. They might not use the word diaphragm, but they would always, there's something called box breathing, which is you breathe in, you count 4 times, you hold your breath, and then I don't know how many times, and you breathe out how many times out. We don't do that here. We don't do counting, because counting means that you're using your big brain. And I want you to take you deeper and deeper into the spiritual practice. And the spiritual practice means that you need to let go of your intellect and start to feel the rest of your intelligence system. So this is about focusing on the sensation, but not on the judging. And so that's why we don't count. So all you're doing here is focusing on the belly button, relax, and when you feel that you're breathing in, open the stomach. And when you feel that you're breathing out, bring the belly button back, collapse the stomach. And just do it in a very, very gentle way without counting, without forcing your body, right? Just work with your body. Your body wants to breathe in, move the belly button forward. Your body wants to breathe out, move the belly button back. Okay? Now, after this, on your own, you will need a little bit more time. But after this, then we do the next step, which is we let go of the belly button. We continue to feel the movement of the stomach as we breathe in and as we breathe out. Now what we do is we focus on the lower part of the spine. As we breathe in, we feel that the stomach opens. We move from the spine. We move from the bottom of the spine along the spine towards the top of the head. We stretch our spine slightly. And then when we feel that we're breathing out, we feel that the stomach is collapsing. We come back from the top of the head, through the forehead, through the bridge of our nose, through the tongue, and comes back all the way to the belly button. And as we come down, we lean back and relax. We breathe in, we feel the stomach opens. We go from the bottom of the spine towards the top of the head. We stretch your spine slightly. We feel the life energy coming up along the spine. And then as we come down, we feel it coming down. We lean back and then relax. One breath at a time. Okay, let's sit for 5 minutes, all right? And this is a boot camp, which means that you do the practice here, and then when you're by yourself, you continue with the practice. Okay, this is like we're sharpening your knife. So when you're on your own, you will use it. Okay. All right. So this is a very good exercise to restore the harmony in your autonomous system. There's a lot of understanding of what's really causing our health, and it's there are words that the Western scientist uses, things like autonomous nerve disorder, and that's just an imbalance between yin and yang. Things like cortisol resistance, which means that you lose their self-healing power. The best steroid that you have so much steroid in your body, and yet you're using external steroid. Okay, so that means that whatever you have, you're not using it, and that's because you have too much, not because you don't have enough. Right? So same thing with diabetes. Diabetes. So Western doctors haven't quite figured out how to heal type 1 and type 2 separately. And so my father suffers type 2. I'm type 2 as well. And not because of my diet, but because there's a surgery that we both did that really screwed up our system. But the point is that when you're type 2, it's not because you don't have enough insulin. It's because you have too much. And so insulin resistance, right? So there's a lot of understanding of that now, and they're just looking at it from different angle. And a lot of interest in vagus nerve, which is basically a big part of your parasympathetic. And of course, whoever that wants to talk about these things, they talk about the toys that they can sell you, the money they can make from you, the toys they can strap onto the back of your neck to energize the vagus nerve. And, but there's simple things you can do. God had a plan. She had a plan. And all you have to do is uncover all the hindrances that modern life has put on us. Yeah, type 1 is very different. Type 1 is basically your your body cannot put out insulin, and so that's a very, very different problem. But most of us are type 2. Type 2, it's a lifestyle disease, and so you just have to think of it like that. That's a big problem with Western medical science, is that they don't want to treat your disease as a lifestyle disease. They don't feel that they should change your lifestyle. So they're making very sick people live longer. So what we have is not a health system. What we have is a sickness system. Okay. So I said enough about that. So hopefully we'll work together. We'll travel this journey together. Okay. So I'll see you all next week. We have one more week, and then I'm taking 2 weeks off. Okay. All right. But we will see each other next week. All right. And thank you for all the donation. Okay. 我哋星期一見。Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you, Danny.
Okay. Bye bye.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.